Today, let us start studying a new chapter. The name of the new chapter is the states of matter. So, let us study, my dear students, the various or the chapter that we want to study here. There is someone who is making noise. You can mute yourself and we can move ahead. Thank you, dear students. So, yes, we are going to study about the states of matter. The snowflake falls, yet lays not long. Its feathery grasp on Mother Earth. Ray sun returns it to the vapors when it comes or to waters tumbling down the rocky slope. O corner. बच्चों ये कविता है जो बताती है कि जब when the snow falls on the earth, the sun turns into water or into the water vapor. But this is what it simply gives us idea that we have or we can convert the states of matter into one another, because water is a uh, water is liquid and snow is solid, and water vapor or steam is again a gas. So the
Yes.
various states of matters are interconverted, and that is what the same we have even studied into the ninth standard. So we studied about the properties of matter in ninth standard. In the previous chapter, we have studied about the properties of single particle of matter, that is the atom or a particle related to the molecule. Now, in this chapter, my dear students, we should study some properties which are the properties of bulk. So, we are going to study the various properties of bulk. Now, we should know what is bulk. So, the collection of much more molecules all together, surrounded by the same type of particles of matter, we can call it bulk. So, here I have tried to make you understand about the meaning of bulk. If you take water, then you have one part of water which is there in the contact with the air. This part of water is known as the surface. But under the surface, all the molecules of water are surrounded by the water molecules, and that part of water can be considered as a bulk. So, this is how, my dear students, we understand about the bulk. An individual molecule of water does not boil. Remember this, that if you take a single molecule of water, it cannot boil. Boiling is a bulk phenomena. So altogether, when there are great number of molecules of water, when their energy increases, they leave the intermolecular forces of attraction which are present into the liquid, and then they move to the vapor phase, and this is how um, the change possible. Collection of water molecule have wetting property. Only single molecule of water cannot even wet. So the collection of water molecule have wetting property too. Individual particle or molecule do not wet. A single particle or molecule do not wet at all. Water can exist as ice, which is a solid state, water, which is a liquid state, and water vapor or steam, which is a gaseous state. So physical properties of water, steam and ice are very different. You know, physical properties of these three states of matter, that is solid, liquid and gas, or you can say that water, steam and ice are very different. So physical state have different physical properties. But my dear students, when we truly look at their chemical composition in all these three phases, may it be ice, it may be water, or it may be solid, the chemical composition is always H2O. In all the three states of matter, the chemical composition of water remains the same, that is H2O. Characteristics of these three states of water depends upon the energies of molecule and on the manner in which water molecule aggregate. So characteristics of three states of water depends upon the energies of molecule and on the manner in which the water molecules aggregate. So how these water molecules are arranged, how these water molecules or what is the energy this water molecule possess. Depending upon that, the characteristics of various physical states can be understood. Same is true for any other substances. That means whatever we have discussed, we can even understand the same for all the other substances. That means all the other substances can be turned into solid state, can be turned into liquid state, can be turned into gaseous state, and their characteristics depends upon the energy possessed by the molecules. At the same time, how these molecules or how these atoms of the substance are arranged or how they have been aggregated. So this is how, my dear students, we can understand about the states of matter. Remember, my dear students, that when we have the various states of matter, their physical properties are different, but their chemical composition remains the same. Chemical properties of substance do not change with the change of its physical state. Chemical properties of substance do not change with the change of its physical state. So remember, as the chemical composition remains intact, as the chemical composition does not change, the chemical properties of substance even do not change. So you can say that if you allow to react water with some substance or ice with some substance or water vapor or steam with some substance, the same kind of reaction will be given by all three water vapor or steam and ice. But there will be something different. What will be different? The rate of chemical reaction, that is the speed of chemical reaction, or how fast or how slow does the chemical reaction takes place, it is going to be different. So my dear students, when there is a different physical states, the rate of chemical reaction may be different, but the the kind of reaction, the products of the chemical reaction are going to remain the same. Many times in calculations, while dealing with data of experiments, we require knowledge of the states of matter. So when we are doing some scientific experiments or when we are acquiring the data from some experiment, we require the knowledge of the states of matter. So in many time in calculations, while dealing with data of experiments, we require the knowledge of states of matter. Therefore, it becomes necessary for a chemist to know the physical state of matter. So when we are doing some experiment, it is necessary for we people to know that what is the physical state of a particular matter in in a particular experiment. Or at the same time, it is necessary to know the laws which govern the behavior of matter in a different states. So we even should know the various laws which governs, which manage, which handle the behavior of matter in a different states. In this chapter, my dear students, we shall study the gaseous state as well as the liquid state. So, my dear students, in this chapter, we shall study the gaseous state and we shall study the liquid state. So, let us study about the various states of matter here. Either it may be the gaseous state or it is the liquid state. To study physical state, it is necessary to understand, to study the physical state, it is necessary to understand the nature of intermolecular forces. So it is necessary to understand the nature of intermolecular forces. Number two, it is necessary to understand the molecular interaction. How do the molecule of particular matter interact with each other? The third thing what we should know is the effect of thermal energy on the motion of particle. So when we study the states of matter, we should understand the nature of intermolecular forces. We should even understand the molecular interaction, how the molecule of matter interact with one another. We should even know about the effect of thermal energy on the motion of particle. Because a balance among these three determines the states of matter or state of substance. So, you know, these three characteristics or these three things, or even we can call them two because the nature of intermolecular forces or molecular interaction, we consider it as a one, and the effect of thermal energy, we consider it as a two. So, when these two interact with each other, they determine the states of matter. So this is how, my dear students, we can understand, like these are the things that are necessary to understand any states of matter. Now we have the intermolecular forces. So let us understand about the intermolecular forces. Intermolecular forces are the forces of attraction, or they may be the forces of repulsion between interacting particles, that is atoms or molecules. So intermolecular forces are the forces of attraction or forces of repulsion between the interacting particles, that are atoms or molecules. So intermolecular forces can be of two types. One, attractive intermolecular forces and repulsive intermolecular forces. This is how we can understand. So intermolecular forces are the forces of attraction or repulsion among the molecules or atom of the matter. The term intermolecular forces does not include what is actually what is not included into the intermolecular forces. Number one, the electrostatic force of attraction that exists between the two oppositely charged ions. So when we have two oppositely charged ions and the force of attraction between these two ions, which is known as the electrostatic force of attraction, it is not actually the intermolecular force. So the force of attraction between the two ions is not actually the intermolecular forces. And second, the forces that holds the atoms and molecules together, that is the covalent bonds. So, my dear students, whenever there are intermolecular force or electrostatic force of attraction, or if we have the covalent bonds, these two are not actually the part of intermolecular forces. That is what we should remember and understand. Now, my dear students, we are going to study about the attractive intermolecular about the intermolecular forces in detail. Attractive intermolecular forces are called van der Waals forces. So, my dear students, What we have two type of intermolecular forces, attractive and repulsive. These attractive intermolecular forces are known as the van der Waals forces. This why do we call them van der Waals forces? Because Johannes van der Waals was the scientist who discovered, who explained us this the van der Waals forces, and that is why we on the in the honor of the Dutch scientist whose name was Johannes van der Waals, they are called the van der Waals forces. Now, van der Waals forces are considerable in magnitude and include. You know, van der Waals forces are not so strong, or they are not very strong, but one or the other way, my dear students, these van der Waals forces are considerable in magnitude, that we should consider them, we should not avoid them. And what are the various kinds of van der Waals forces that we are going to study? So van der Waals forces includes the dispersion forces or London forces. Van der Waals forces includes the dipole-dipole forces, and van der Waals forces includes the dipole-induced dipole forces. So, my dear students, on the basis of these three, we can truly understand the various kinds of van der Waals forces. What are the three types of van der Waals forces? Dispersion forces or London forces, dipole-dipole forces, or dipole-induced dipole forces. A particularly strong type of dipole-dipole interaction is hydrogen bonding. So please remember that hydrogen bonding is not a type of van der Waals forces. Hydrogen bonding is treated in a separate category, but you can say that a particularly strong type of dipole-dipole interaction is your hydrogen bonding. So this is how, my dear students, we truly understand about the hydrogen bond. Now, why hydrogen bond is treated as a separate category? So, my dear students, we should know that why this hydrogen bond is treated as a separate category. Only few elements can participate in a hydrogen bonding, and that is why, therefore, it is treated as a separate category. We have studied in the previous chapter, my dear students, that oxygen, fluorine, and nitrogen are the element that forms generally the hydrogen bonding, and this is how we can say that only few elements can participate in the hydrogen bonding, and that is why it is treated as a separate category. What is ion dipole forces? My dear students, we need to understand the next question. What is ion dipole forces? And are these forces van der Waals forces? So let us understand the answer of this question. Attractive forces between an ion and a dipole are known as ion dipole forces. Attractive forces between an ion and a dipole are known as ion dipole forces. We know, my dear students, an ion is the species that has a charge, and that charge is in the multiple of 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19. Remember, an ion is a species which is having a charge, and this charge is in the multiple of 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. Dipole are the species in which they have slightly positive charge to one end and slightly negative charge to another end. Ultimately, they have charge, but the charge is less than 1.6 into 10 to the power minus 19 coulomb. Now these two species, ion and dipole forces, they may also have the force of attraction between them. This is what it is known as the ion dipole force of attraction. And this ion dipole force of attraction are not the van der Waals forces. So my dear students, in van der Waals forces, we study only three categories, or three type of forces are considered to be the van der Waals forces, and they are dispersal forces or London forces, dipole forces, and dipole induced dipole forces. Please remember that the ion dipole forces or ion dipole interaction or hydrogen bonding cannot be considered or should not be considered as a van der Waals force. Now let us study about the dispersion forces or London forces. Atoms and non-polar molecules are electrically symmetrical and have no dipole moment. Atoms and non-polar molecules are electrically symmetrical and have no dipole moment. Now, why they are electrically symmetrical and why they do not have the dipole moment? Because their electronic charge cloud is symmetrically distributed. So they have symmetrically distributed electron cloud, and that is why uh, their um, uh, that is why they have no dipole moment or they are electrically symmetrical. Now you can look at this. This is just a representation, my dear students. This is not the actual condition. But suppose you have a non-polar molecule or an atom. I have tried to show you that the positive charge and the negative charge are in equal proportion and they are equally distributed among the species, and that is why they have no dipoles, they have symmetrical distribution of the charges. Remember, this is just a representation, this is not the actual situation. Let's move forward. But a dipole may develop momentarily even in such an atom and molecule. This can be understood as follows. So even we have the electrically neutral species, it may be an atom or it may be the electrically neutral molecule. In that even the dipole may be momentarily generated. And when the dipole is momentarily generated in such an atom and molecule, how it can be generated, that was first explained by the scientist Fritz London, and that is why it is known as the London forces. So let us try to understand. The German physicist first proposed that suppose we have two such atoms or molecules with symmetrical distribution of charges. So you can see in the figure I have shown you the two atoms, atom A and atom B. They have the symmetrical distribution of charges, and that is why there is no dipole actually generated on this atom A and atom B. A and B are in close vicinity. They are very near to each other, so they affect the electron cloud of each other. This is what, my dear students, necessary that these atoms, they affect the electron cloud of each other. It so happens that momentarily electronic charge distribution in one of the atoms, say A, become unsymmetrical. Now, because of some unknown reason or because of not fixed reason, the reason may be so many, reasons are so much that we cannot say that it is because of this the momentarily dipole has been produced. But some or the other way, there will be a momentarily dipole generated into a particular atom A. So what happens? The negative charges moves towards a particular direction, and that is why obviously the absence of negative charge automatically generate the presence of positive charge into the another portion comparatively. So you cannot say that these charges are moving. Positive charge moves this side and negative charge moves this side. But when the negative charge goes to the other side, the opposite part automatically become positive. So when the electron cloud moves towards a right direction, the left direction is automatically going to be positive. This is how we can understand. And this is what we can show it by the arrow with the cut tail. So with the cut tail arrow, we can understand this, my dear students, very easily. But the nearby atom, atom B, it's still symmetrical. Now what happens? For a short time, instantaneous dipole is generated on A. You have seen that on A there is an instantaneous dipole generated. The dipole produced in A distort the electron density of B2. So the dipole that is generated into the atom A, it also distort the electron cloud into the B. Thus we can say a dipole is induced in B. Now remember, see, this part of atom A or this part of species A become negative. So this negative part, as this both A and B are in close vicinity, this negative charge will automatically attract those positive part towards it, and thus in the due to the effect of changed symmetry of charge into A, the B which is in close vicinity with A, thus the charge symmetry in B also get changed. The charge symmetry in B even changed. So what happens? A momentarily produced dipole in A induced dipole in B2. So we can say that here we have an atom A with instantaneous dipole. More electron density is on the right side. Thus, my dear students, due to the repulsion of the negative charges to the negative charge, even in B, the negative charges also move towards the right hand side, and thus the opposite side automatically turns positive. Thus, the dipole is also induced in the B or in the species B, and this is how, my dear students, we understand that in atom B there is an induced dipole. Suppose initially the charge distribution in one atom A initially available the opposite way. Now suppose in the initial stage, if the dipole generated A in such a way that atom A has more electron density on the left side, then again the induced dipole in B would be in the same direction, and the negative charges would again find their place on the left hand side into the B. So, you know, the direction of dipole depends upon the dipole that is generated into A first, and then the another dipole which is induced into the species B. So this is how, my dear students, there is a dipole and induced dipole produced into the various species. Here you have studied about the dispersion forces or London's forces. The temporary dipoles of atom A and B attracts each other. Similarly, temporary dipoles are induced in molecules too. So here, if we are discussing about the atoms, the same type of temporary dipoles can be induced in molecules too, my dear students. Force of attraction between the two temporary dipole is known as the
Sir, 1 minute, sir.
Or dispersion. Yes, beta, tell me.
Sir, can you explain me in detail about dipole?
Oh, why not? Who is this to ask?
Sir, Rajkumar.
Yes.
Sir,
Who
please,
asked?
please tell me detail in about dipole, sir.
Yes, sir, definitely. But may I know who is speaking?
Sir, I am Rajkumar Prajapat.
Can you switch on our video, please? Thank you,
Yes,
Raj.
sir.
It's a good question. Do you understand dye? Dye means what? Do you understand, my dear students?
No, sir.
Okay, dye means two. Okay, dye
Okay.
means
Two.
2. And poles means, do you know poles?
Yes, sir. End of any part.
What do you understand by poles?
The end of any part.
Okay. Now you know what happens due to some reason or due to the more electron density towards one end. There is a negative charge produced in one end. So opposite charge definitely generates comparatively to the another end. So there are two ends. One end is having positive charge, another end is having negative charge. Such condition is known as dipole. I
Yes,
think
sir.
I can explain. Can I explain? Like, have I explained it correctly? Do you understand, my child?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I understand.
I think I have explained it the same even when I was explaining, but no problem. Have you understood
Okay,
it?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Shall we proceed? Okay. Now, if you have any
Yes,
doubt,
sir.
you can ask, my dear students. Let us stop our discussion today here. Do you have anything to ask? Dear students, if you have anything to ask, you can ask me. बच्चों अगर कुछ समझ में नहीं आया तो आप लोग पूछ सकते हैं प्लीज